Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can we get a roll call?
Wow.
Not mine.
Councilmember Reavis?
I'm here.
Councilmember Graham?
Here.
Councilmember Justin?
Here.
Councilmember Larson? Councilmember Paparad?
Here.
Councilmember Sims?
Present.
Councilmember Witt? We have 5 votes.
All right, here we are. Second reading, Thursday, September 24th. We have airport leading off.
We're taking
Off with airport, there you go.
Sky blue yonder.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
What are you guys making a motion on?
Same as last year.
Same.
So we got $1,400,312, right? Is that what I'm looking at? Airport? There's special airport general. There's a motion and a second on the floor, discussion.
Any highlights at all, Kyle, or anything to mention?
No, I'm assuming from your reading there that our contingency for 5% raises was removed like it normally is. The
Yeah.
actual budget proposed was with 5%, and we do that because the state doesn't allow you to raise our budget. They only allow you to cut what we propose. So normally, we give our budget, same as last year, with a 5% increase. You remove it in first reading, and then, we hope that we get the same that all the other county employees do at that time.
What are we thinking?
Did we remove it?
Yeah. We're thinking -1, aren't we?
For raises?
Yeah. He just said that he increased his budget by 5% for raises.
No, he had kept, the raises are out of it.
Like I say, we provided it, same as last year, plus 5%. You guys normally remove the 5%, but you can always take it back when the county approves any budget or any raises that you give.
Yeah, I think that's what Sylvia's question is. So why isn't it increased by that 5% then? Salaries.
We do that at final reading.
We're not sure what we're gonna give.
And that's like I say, that's a binding review thing.
All right, but the salaries are the same from 2020 to 2021.
Yep.
You're saying that you put the 5% increase and we usually take it out, but
For
we haven't
first
taken
reading.
it out.
For first
First
reading.
read,
Oh,
then we'll add the raises back in at the end. When we
took
pick
it out
up.
first
Or
reading?
whatever we
We
raise.
did now.
636 figure is the same as 2020, and if I'm reading this right, Kyle, what you're saying is that ultimately your request would be the whatever that is, 668?
Each of those departments is the same. But if you wanted to change the outline in the letter,
Right.
that's the file of it. That's where the numbers are exactly the same.
Okay, thanks.
We'll fix
So
it by
5% increases are not included in what we're approving right now?
Right.
That's correct.
Okay, I thought.
We'll fix it at third reading.
All right, motion and second, any further discussion? The 1.4 number, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Special airport cumulative.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion and second, the number's the same at $338,505. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you very much.
Easy.
Thank you, Kyle.
You.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you again.
Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
You are gonna stay, right?
I've got part of training tonight.
Oh, stop it.
Corner. Here we go. Corner general fund. It's like there's a slight increase of $407. The number's $393,153 in the corner general fund.
I'll make that motion.
The motion,
Second.
motion and second. Discussion. Like, what are the slight increase, right? There's 407.
Hourly?
By the chair.
Yep, down there, thank you. Yep, I see it now, furnitures and fixtures. Fine, chair. Any discussion?
Any highlights at all, Cindy, or anything to?
Just needed some money moved so we can cover our dues for the corner association. That was it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's it, that was it, you're done, that was easy.
Thank you very much.
You can get $407 out of us.
You're not gonna stay, are you? You're not
No,
gonna
she's not.
Veteran Services. Looks like there was a slight increase of $936. Looks like that's an hourly. The number's $106,304.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
That's easy, Jim. This is gonna be an easy night. Extension service. Number's the same, $273,096.
Motion.
Second.
Are you replacing that person? Did you hire somebody yet?
I have not hired anyone yet.
You got a letter from us?
I did, this morning I
Replace-
did.
You got a coordinator, educator, I think, was that?
No, the office
okay.
manager.
Office manager.
Yeah,
Got a couple, all right. Everything's good?
pretty good.
Is there a motion and a second?
There was.
Did we vote on it?
No.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Very good.
Thank you.
Nice
Bob?
seeing you.
Bob, you gonna ask her?
No,
You don't care, so extension office days, huh?
I'm sorry.
Treasurer. Looks like there's a reduction of $100,000 in her general fund.
Move to approve.
No.
That's not entirely correct, but I'll make the motion for $294,913.
The number is the same at
Second.
$294,913. There's a motion and a second, discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Have a good evening.
Tourism. What? Why is tourism in here?
Yeah, so fine.
Soil and water.
They got moved.
Soil and water.
What? Who moved tourism?
There's our favorite
Soil and water.
lady. How are you doing?
I'm great. How about you? Things couldn't be better
Soil and water, I don't have soil and water, because I didn't move it.
It's the same number, and I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
125, 219.
There's a motion and a second. Something I'm completely unaware of. What's the number?
$125,219.
$125,219. Motion and a second, discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Good evening,
Simple.
thank you.
Where we at now?
Assessors.
Coming.
I just didn't switch my books
Save the
around.
best for last this time. Thank you.
No, what if we did?
Then I would have just gladly waited, like normal.
You're missing it.
Same number.
I'll make the motion.
I'll make a motion, we move the assessor to another night.
Second, you want to table it?
Why not?
Motion and a second.
Just kidding, I was drawing my motion. Love you, John.
Well, you got a real nice house going on.
$139.
Yeah, I know.
Motion and a second, discussion on Bob's house.
There will be a discussion, I'm sure.
Are your folks wearing high vis so they don't
Absolutely.
get bitten by a
Absolutely.
dog out there?
Yes, correct. Everybody's doing good and
All in
following the
favor,
rules.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Reassessment. What do we got?
Ooh.
Up $10,314. $476,180. We're up $10,000 in reassessment.
How come?
Where's it at?
Yeah, we didn't ask for it. I
You didn't ask.
just noticed that.
There's all kinds of difference.
Well, I was just moving things into categories where we needed it, so that we don't have to come in for
Are
transfers.
you saying you did your math wrong?
I think so.
What's the consultants for?
Consultants we use for our appraisers, our attorneys, sometimes we mix that into some of our software and things like that.
You don't have that.
Software, right? Is that what I said? Yeah.
Okay, then our-
What's the contractual for then?
What's the contractual for?
Yeah.
What I just said, it's for a myriad of...
No, that's
Oh.
consultants. Now I'm asking about contractual.
We kind of blend those two together. honestly. We just pay them out of those two lines, the similar buckets of people. It's called consulting, but I don't have a consultant.
So, why wouldn't you put it all in contractual? I don't know. Right, that went up from 0 to 20,000?
Well,
I'm gonna make a motion to take this training and ed out, based on Vicky's recommendation. Is that okay, Vicki?
What is that recommendation?
That we have a training and ed fund already set up, that's got $200,000 in it.
I don't know if we should do that quite yet, though. I mean, have we?
You know, we're still researching. Harold was going to research one of the budget officials.
You told me elected officials. John, you're elected, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are we disseminating between elected officials?
No, I think we haven't started yet, though, in terms of trying to pull it out. I think maybe we're going to do it.
I'm still going to make the motion to pull it out. We can put it back in. We'll have an answer by third reading.
There's a motion on the floor to take.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second on the floor to take training and education out completely.
You can always put it back in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my point is, we haven't done it yet.
Well, we have an answer by final reading.
Well, are we talking about this $5,000 figure?
Yep.
It goes to the whole fact that we have like $200,000 that comes from fees collected by the recorder's office. And I think it brings in about $35,000 a year that we could start using, and so really we could find areas like this in elected official budgets, pull out $35,000. And at least 35, because we do have a $200,000 surplus, so we could probably spend $40,000, $50,000 for a couple of years out of it.
John, you said...
But if that's what you guys want to do right now,
Well, we can put, we need to find I think, Vicki, we need to find the answer to it by final reading, that's all.
I mean, my interpretation of the state law is something that Harold is going to look at, just to make sure who can take.
Third reading, then we could put it back.
Yeah, let's not,
It just came up because
We
we're
just-
going to be coming before
Right.
you for that one.
Is it your interpretation that we'd be able to use that money for the request?
Okay, so what's in the budget? It kind of depends on how much you want to allocate. There's some other things that we would have to discuss, how much each elected official would get out of this fund. There's different things we have to talk about.
or his or her designee, I think was a question.
Right.
You know, how far down the path we could go with that.
There's the state law, we think, used to limit it to only certain elected officials, and the assessor was not one of them. But now it seems like the state law has changed. That's one of the questions.
okay.
Yeah,
We'll get you guys, we'll take care of it. We just found this fund is sitting there with $200,000 for
Yeah.
training and ed, so.
I would just say, if it's just for elected officials, you know, we have, and maybe this is something I'm just missing in this conversation because it's new to me, and that would be that the 17 employees take ongoing education for increasing their status.
We're trying to get clarification on what it can be
Yes,
used
okay,
for.
okay, fine.
It seems to be a nebulous subject.
You're not going to, it's not going to go away.
No,
One way or the
we're-
other, you'll
we're just
always
gonna- yeah.
have-
Fair enough.
All right, there's a motion and a second on the floor to remove the $5,000. Further discussion on that? All in favor?
I'd like to just ask, you said that you had consultants, you had attorney fees in there too, in that?
Correct.
Well, let's remove this $5,000 real quick,
Okay.
Sylvia. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, aye. So, let's remove that, and then go ahead, Sylvia, about consultants.
I was just, do all the other budgets, have their attorney fees, in a separate line item, or is it all just in consultants?
If I could, Ms. Graham, we had our own attorney line item, but that was removed probably 3 or 4 years ago, if my memory serves me correctly. And
Yeah, you're right.
it was removed, and this is how we had to go.
So this is just for special occasion things that you needed?
Right, mainly appeals. Like
Peter
for
Boa?
example- Yes, well, no, Peter Boa has an attorney provided by the commissioners.
Okay.
But we have certain appeals that have been ongoing, such as the Misty Glen case down in Hebron, that we had an outside attorney representing, and it was very expensive.
Okay.
So, but that case has been settled, and we don't have that ongoing expense anymore. But from time to time, we have to pick up an attorney to represent us,
Okay, thank you.
Indianapolis.
John, help me out on you're dropping your maintenance agreements down significantly. Is that just less equipment, or just we're not going to have maintenance agreements, or?
Yeah, is that the commentary? Oh, that's Grant. That's our website servicing. We're going to use our software vendor. Sorry, you're right there. We're going to use our software vendor to help us with our website moving forward and not have this outside vendor any longer. So that money, I think it's going into, probably why you saw an increase in contractual or somewhere, or consulting, because that's where we pay our Exhaust fee out of. And so we're going to move the money into there to pay for software services.
Vicki, what's in the fund, this reassessment fund? This is the one you also share with Porter Township, right?
Correct, yes.
The current fund balance is $32,221. This is a property tax supported fund, and so it will get another draw in December.
And if you remember last year, Mr. Poprite asking about this, they had a lot more cash, and this is what we were warning about, is that come another year, it's gonna, and now we're at bare bones now. So we look forward to our next draw.
So what's it bringing in a year? So far, just 215,000? That's what it brings. What did it bring in all of last year?
We got a 3%. I thought we got a little bit of a bump.
It brought in less than $400,000?
Right.
So, well, that's why it's gonna be in trouble. You're budgeting way more. I mean, we should cut it to about 300,000?
I didn't think that we had cut that far. Vicki, can you explain that, or, I mean, because we prepared for this.
Yes, well, we watch all of the property tax funds closely. But this is one of the funds that's part of the family of funds that's limited by our levy. So it's a little bit more complicated than a non-reverting fund or a self-sustaining fund.
I mean, and over time, we've been pulling we had a bunch of salaries stacked in there that we pulled out. If you remember, whenever we would let somebody go out of our office, we wouldn't replace them. We had 24, and we're down to 17. So over the 10 years or so that I've been here, we're working with less salaries, and we pulled much of it out of that reassessment fund to make it healthier, I guess you'd say.
So you're bringing in about $400,000, and you continue to budget, so and the balance was what, 243? Well,
I mean, it's tight, but it's doable. I don't think the state would allow us to get in a situation where we're over budgeting, and we do watch it. I hope. We'll find out.
watch
You
it
are
go
correct.
down.
The state would not allow it.
So what's the new number then, Vicki? What was it? 471, 180?
Yes, we're 71.
Difference of $5,314.
You need a motion?
Don't worry, we'll just let it go.
You
I'll
need
entertain a motion.
motion to approve.
A motion on the floor to approve.
Second, anybody?
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve the $471,180 for reassessment. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is that it? You done?
I think so.
Out of here?
We got another fund laying around?
Thanks, John.
Thank you,
Have a good
guys.
night.
Appreciate it. Okay.
Porter's Township Assessor, General Fund.
Yeah.
No.
Porter's Township Assessor, General Fund, the number is the same at $247,039. Motion on the floor.
Second?
Second, discussion. No discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Her reassessment fund.
Same,
Township Assessor, where did I lose it?
right below it.
Below it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Second.
There's a
Move to
motion,
approve.
there's a motion in reverse at $72,948. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you,
Sorry.
Alta.
I thought you already said that.
Have a great night. Recorder, general fund. Salaries, $191,388. The number is the same.
I'll make the motion.
There's a motion on the floor. There's a motion on the floor for $191,388. There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
There's a second.
We want to look at
Apparently
both
there's
of
some
them.
discussion, or? Discussion? A light second? So there was a letter, I guess, that's attached that would be relevant to that number.
Yeah, it's,
Are you wanting us to add $75,000 to that number?
By the way, can
You absolutely can.
Okay.
That's up to you two. You're the
Okay.
closest.
All right.
Just don't spit on me.
Try not to. All right, if you remember last year, there was some debate that we had, and in the spirit of cooperation, I think is the words that I actually used last year, I did concede to using $75,000 of the RPF money towards salaries. So, that is, if you also remember the RPF statute that states that that is a one-year-at-a-time process, how that works. And what we talked about last year was that it was going to be a one-time thing. Now, at no time did I believe that that is actually what the intentions were, but that is what was said. So, I took the 75 out, and I did put that back into the general fund.
When did we do that? Why are the two numbers the same? That's what I was trying to figure out. Why is the 2020 and 2021 number the same in salaries then?
Exactly. Vicki?
We took it out of budget time last year, so wouldn't that number
Yes,
have been lower? in-
absolutely.
So it should be different.
Well, let me think then. Okay, I get it then. Yeah, he wants us to raise it. So you didn't, all right.
So
You
you're
didn't raise
actually
it
putting
for us.
another employee back.
Going back to like 2019.
so what you're saying, the 75,000 that we spent out of the perpetuation fund for wages, you're now pulling that back and putting them wages in the general fund, 1,000.
Right, and that's what if you go back and you look at the minutes from last year, that's what we discussed.
What he's in this.
So he took it out of the perpetuation, but he did not include it in the salaries yet.
If it kind of helps refresh anybody's memory, I came up here and I offered the 50,000, and then Councilman Larson suggested 75. He's not here today to actually expand on that.
So Chuck, so as we look at the adopted budget for 2020.
The adopted budget, yes, sir.
$191,000.
Yes, sir.
You're requesting the same amount for 2021.
Well, I don't think they are. They're asking in their letter to add the $75,000 back.
Then why is that not reflected in the
I
requested
think of the
budget for 2021?
75,000, when it comes to the budget, when it comes to the salary money, it's not exactly 75 because there's a breakdown. Correct me if I'm wrong.
63,000.
I think it's like 63,000 because the 75,000 was taken out of RPF and it was spread among the 6 salaries, but that also included benefits like FICA and everything else. So the difference between the figure from 2019 and actual 2020 would be more reflective of the total of 255.04, which is on the far right of the Form 144.
So are you suggesting, John, that that's actually what the 2021 requested budget for salaries is, 255,054?
That is
Yes, yeah, for some reason, I don't know, it didn't carry over in that spreadsheet. I think it did in the Lowell system, but for some reason it didn't carry over in the spreadsheet. And I'll take blame for that. Maybe I must have wiped out the formula or something. I don't think I did, but for some reason, it didn't tabulate that column for proposed 2021 down at the bottom. It has it over to the right, where it says total annual salaries.
But in Fund 1189, the perpetuation fund, do you want to use $82,000 to supplement the wages in the 1,000 fund? Correct?
That's what it was.
$19,000.
That's what it was this year,
Yeah.
because there was a raise that was implemented about, I want to say 2017 for 18. We took some raise money out for all the employees out of the RPF. That would stay in there. That's the figure of 18,757. So it would be.
I'm looking at 82,423. Am I missing,
Yes, 82,423 is what is for this year.
Yeah.
And then taking that, like I said, it's like a difference of like 63,000 plus. That was.
The 18,757.
Raised down to
There.
18,757, yes.
Correct.
So your 2019 adopted budget salaries was $247,080?
Probably, and then I'm guessing, but then what incremental raises the council granted, because of across-the-board raises, it's probably gone up. And it has gone up to 255,054. I've verified that with the auditor's office.
Did you guys ever get prices, I'm going to switch gears before I jump in here. Did you ever get prices on the microfilming or the digitizing you wanted to do?
Did we get the price for the whole budget?
Well, no, what the number was, because I know we talked about it earlier in the year, I think.
Okay.
What's the new number? Where we at if you wanted to digitize, I guess, for lack of a
If
better
we
word?
wanted to digitize, that budget is $676,694.79.
Okay. And you have over $900,000 in that fund right now?
It's approximately 910, I think, something like that, some change.
You'll have $1 million by the end of the year.
Do you believe that this project would be covered by the CARES Act money?
That's beyond my scope of, I did throw out a Hail Mary, but that's a Hail Mary. I'm not counting on that at all.
For that scanning project, you're not certain?
Absolutely not.
Vicki, I mean, would you think that project would be covered, scanning, to digitize things? Would it be,
I know other counties have done similar digitalization projects. And my reading of the CARES Act is that it should be covered from the standpoint of a government taking an action to minimize, exposure to each other. But I'm not the one to make the final decision. My opinion is it should be covered, and I do know that other counties are getting similar projects up this week.
Are they being reimbursed, though?
Pardon me?
Are they being reimbursed?
That's what I've been told.
To this
I try
scale?
to find proof of that.
How much we talking about, 50,000 or 500?
Right, and that's a key issue here. I don't know if Chuck saw an email, but I asked him these questions, so I'm sorry, Chuck, didn't read my email yet.
I did.
Okay. Under the CARES Act, we have to pay the invoices by the end of the year unless Congress grants an extension, and we don't know if they're going to do that yet. So I don't know how much of this could be reimbursed through, before the end of the year. I just don't know.
how long would this project take? I remember we just...
Approximately 6 months for the entire project. It can take as long as that, but that's one of those things, they say 2 to 6 months. I mean, it just depends on how fast they can get in and get all the documents, everything's scanned.
And the other thing is, I have to get approval from not just myself to spend that money. So right now, I'm trying to fight that battle. So
What is the rule, Vicki, if you undertake a project like this, and majority of it will be done by the end of the year. I mean, where's the rule lie with that? So something like this take 2 to 6 months, but the goal does the goal have to be to have a substantial part of it done by the end of the year, or is there any kind of directive?
I can get clarification on that. One of the things you have to keep in mind is that the guidance does change. There's a meeting tomorrow, and I can try to ask that clarification.
Because there's a lot of money on the table
Good question.
still.
What if you began, what if
Right.
you committed a project? And I noticed in the billing, there would be one part of it paid for, I don't want to say upfront, but, as a good faith deposit. So if you commit to it, could that be reversed? My gut tells me no.
No, Vicki, is it not as easy as just calling down there to get some sort of guidance?
Yes.
But we haven't done that just yet?
None of this request, no. I certainly have been in communication with.
So they'd probably give us a pretty quick answer or feeling as to the likelihood of it happening or to what degree they'd reimburse.
Actually, to be truthful, I started an email just this afternoon to the IFA to clarify some issues, but I just didn't have time to finish it. And
So it's possible. They might reimburse all of it, they might reimburse part of it. I mean, it's worth a shot, and if they can, that's great.
And that's why I
I don't know,
applied
do
for
we want to
it,
roll
just
the
as
dice
a
on a
chance.
maybe?
Right.
No, I believe the IFA, Indiana Financial Authority, aren't they giving opinions out? If you ask them a question, will this be covered? And they're going to tell you yes or no, right?
Yes.
So, to me, it's $676,000. If that can be covered, and that doesn't touch that perpetuation fund, then we can put all your employees in that perpetuation fund.
Can I say one thing?
You didn't like the second part of that?
Well,
The second part
Another project coming up after this that's even more expensive, though. That's the thing, we're looking to get all the books bound, proper historical preservation project.
I thought that has been ongoing.
No, it was done about 20-some years ago. It hasn't been done lately because we just didn't have the funds in that fund. And now that there's still not enough to do both projects, but there is enough. This CARES Act talk is great. It is, it's fantastic. That would loosen up to have this other project done now.
How much are we talking about on that?
That one is $792,000. Well, because we have several books that have to, we've got books down in the basement that are 160 years old, it'd be nice to get them.
So we're going to spend $600,000 to digitize the microfilm, and whatever word you want to use, and $700,000 to put them back in new binders?
By law, you have to, well, I'm not going to take the books out of the binders to scan.
Well,
them.
I'm being facetious here.
Well, by law, we have to maintain those records. We can't.
I don't disagree with that.
Unfortunately-
So what's your choice? You want to digitize it in microfilm, or do you want new books? I'm sure the hell I'm voting for both. CARES Act or not.
If
They're 150-year-old books.
do they need to be, is the idea of the binding so that
There's a lot of
you open and
issues
close
going
them?
on. It's not as much as the binding, it's the ink on the paper, it has acid in it, paper has acid. If you have both combinations, you start losing the records, you deteriorate.
So how do you record that then? If it's deteriorated where you can't read it.
That's why you don't want that you don't want to get to that point where it isn't that way.
Wait a minute. John, it's 150 years old, it's already there, isn't it?
It's happening now, yes. But
So it happened 30 years ago.
the point is, those books have to be restored, and the perpetuity of those records has to be infinite.
I agree with that.
Unless the law changes.
Okay.
Digitizing them doesn't mean it does that. Digitizing is just it's a way of digitizing the records to allow easier access
Okay.
or functional access to those books. But those books have to be maintained right now.
So all the previous recorders for the last 100 years never brought this up?
Well, they didn't have computers 100 years ago.
When was the last time the books were rebound, or had the original books ever been rebounded?
We've had some, but they were gradually doing it because it's an expensive process.
Yeah.
You can see, they were gradually doing it when money was available. When the RPF started dwindling down and started eroding, those are projects, when I was a recorder, I couldn't even
Right.
think about doing. So now we have the money to do it. But yes, other recorders thought about that. but it's been a while.
And if you notice on one of our line items, we did have the rebinding thing taken down to 0 this year because we have this project on the horizon.
But it sounds to me like it's more important to get the rebinding of that done. By law, they say that it has to be maintained, than to digitalize first. It seems to me that would be the first
It does
thing.
make sense, but then when you talk to the people doing the scanning project, their feeling is no, because there may be times they may break the binding, okay? And the project, for the book project, is about a year long. So you'd have to wait till that's all done. It's a little bit harder to scan, that's another thing, it's a little harder to scan paper pages, I'm sorry, retract that statement. It's easier to scan the paper pages as they are now, because when they put them in the museum sheets, and when they put them in the protective sheets that are acid-free, that'll make the scanning project probably double, if not more, because it's harder to scan them when there are no sheets. So when they're in the state they are in right now, in the native state of paper with no protective pages, it's easier to scan. We have several books that are already like that, and they've already told us it's harder, it takes much longer to scan those.
So two questions. What does this fund bring in annually?
$300,000, give or take.
That's for the entire year, or is that just through September?
Yeah, I look at the fund report.
Yeah,
What?
it's a good estimate.
$361,000 for
Four hundred and twenty-four.
Okay, so each year, that's what, now, if you guys, as you look at the two very big projects, are they equally priority, or do you have one that's more important than the other?
Well, we feel like the digitizing aspect is more important, and I'm not disagreeing with you, Sylvia, or Councilwoman, but that is the one that we feel more important about right now at this particular time. That's why we're doing this one first. And, you know,
Provides easier access, I assume?
right,
Public access.
Public access,
Can't
you
read.
eliminate people coming in for our office pretty much altogether then. So everything can be done online, reduces foot traffic in the building, which is, you know, right now, anything with social distancing is the key buzzword. So that's part of it.
Is it, educate me here. What gets looked at the most? Stuff, and I'm going to just pick numbers out of the air. Stuff less than 40 years old? 50 years old? Should that be the priority? Because is somebody coming in and looking at a document that is 115 years old? My guts say no. The stuff that's less than 75 years old, or whatever number, should that be the priority? And then we'll work our way to the 115-year-old document, because nobody's really looking at it anyway. I mean, what's your request, I guess?
And I get that, and you're accurate. You're accurate, Bob. Councilman.
Okay.
Sorry.
I mean, I have been called a lot of things, don't worry about it.
All right. So, yeah, you're absolutely accurate in thinking that. I guess, you know, I don't know if this maybe jog your memory, because I know you handle a lot of budgets, but the last election, at the beginning of this year, we had sat down and talked about this project, and one of the things that you actually had brought up was getting a quote for, I think, actually, I know for sure. I think it was 6 years, but, yes, it was 6 years that you had mentioned. So I followed through with that. Haven't got back down here to talk to you guys about the project again, because I haven't got the next step with the commissioners done yet. But it did take that project of $676,000 all the way up to $807,000. So it's to me, the way I look at it, over $100,000 is a chunk of change. So I'd rather save the county $125,000, $130,000, and do it all at once versus spreading it out over, like you just mentioned, doing the stuff that's more used or assessed.
Let me ask you a theoretical question.
Yes, sir.
there's $250,000 in this fund, and we say you can have it all, what would you do?
Okay, excuse me, which fund?
The perpetuation
The
fund, what would you do, digitize it or rebind the books?
Digitize.
Okay. That answers my question. I mean,
I think it's important to find out if this is reimbursable.
And if you guys can do that, then,
I would ask the auditor if I was,
and we've been talking
and
about
ask if
stuff.
it is, I mean, to me, I think it's a simple email to the Indiana Finance Authority and ask if that project is refundable. I mean, I think she can do it, I'm not sure if,
will they put it in writing, Vicki?
I believe they will, yes, they will.
That's a hard yes?
I can tell you by listening to my wife over there, she's asking these questions and getting answers
You talk to your wife?
when she listens, or
Okay.
when she wants.
They'll give an answer in writing, just with a email.
Well, that's what I'd like to know, if they're going to ask for all the supporting documentation, or if they just give us guidance based on a general description.
Yeah, they're going to give you an opinion, they're not going to give you an answer.
Bingo.
I mean,
I'm sure.
they're going to give you an opinion, but not specifically an answer. I mean,
I think we should ask, and I don't
I
know,
was going in more on the timing of it, can be, what if we start the project, that's where I was kind of, because that could affect other projects.
sure, well, if that one will be I mean, specifically, somebody should ask, I don't know if that's Vicki, if you would do that, if this project is covered, and then definitely because of all the other projects, the timing portion, what percentage of it would need to be finished by the end of the year to be covered?
And if the deadline is extended, then we have more time to deal with this.
When are we going to know that? We surely can't rely on.
If you get permission to go forward, how fast can they move?
The
I mean, the
software,
commissioner's got to sign a contract, that's another 30 days. So we're talking October, November?
the timing of having the commissioner sign the contract, I have no idea.
Mhm.
And that's probably, you probably have a better idea how quickly that could happen than I do. But
I think
we could get a
I'm
majority.
going to make a motion, we table this until 1 week from, we got a meeting in a week, right?
Well, what are we tabling? I mean,
The whole thing,
Yep.
because I'm not done with him yet, I'm sorry, no disrespect. About moving some people back, and if he can get his CARES money, then I'm going to move some people back into the perpetuation fund, free up the general fund.
I'll second that motion.
Let's move it back a week. Vicki, will you have an answer in a week on the CARES Act?
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, I started the email today, I can finish it tonight.
Well, I mean, are they that responsive?
But I can't tell you how
Thursday.
responsive.
Here's part of the reality.
so there's a motion and a second on the floor. Go ahead, Mike, discuss.
So, we've got project number one, which is $667,000.
Mm-hmm.
Got project number two, the two big projects that are important that have to be done at some
Some point,
point,
Down the
yeah.
road.
hopefully in the near future.
Hopefully.
So that's $1.4 million,
Yeah, moving forward.
let's call it. There's $900,000 in the fund to date,
Mm-hmm.
and we bring in $424,000 on an annual basis, or thereabouts. So it's not unreasonable to say that, I mean, you could do the digitizing, the 667, assuming you get the proper approval and all that sort of thing, and that would, of course, eat into the
Then next year,
perpetuation.
I don't disagree, if we can get the CARES Act to pay for it,
Well, I'm saying even without the CARES Act, if
well,
you've got $1.4 million.
I'm not going to zero in this budget. So, that's just me.
Yeah,
What else
That's,
were you saying? What
No,
else?
so I'm just saying that there's projects of $1.4 million. We essentially have $900,000, going to get another $423,000, which is $1.3 million, and that keeps it, that's close and all that, but I'm not saying you have to do both of them.
I thought we could deal with it next
Do
year.
one this year, one next year, one 2 years from now.
I mean, they're 151 years old, if they're 152 years old, it really is not going to matter.
Mhm.
Maybe next budget cycle, we could do the binding.
To me, the important part right now would be coverage by the CARES Act.
Exactly.
To protect that, if truly you have to do the second
And I
project
wholeheartedly agree. I mean, if I can get an outside agency to pay for this,
Right.
That's, well, I'm not, well,
you're preaching to the choir.
Mhm.
And I think where maybe Mike was going is if there's a second project that has to be done, shoving a bunch of employees in this fund, is that the right answer until we get these main projects completed?
I didn't say all of them, I'm just saying, some of them, or some money to free up the general fund a little bit, because I'm gonna circle back to my original statement, we have $83,000 in wages and raises or supplemental salaries he's using, that number could go up a little bit when they bring in $400,000 a year. That's all I'm saying. I think I say it every year. Love you guys. We've got a motion to table it for 1 week. Vicki, will you have an answer, you
There's a
think?
motion and a second on the floor to table
Please
Doing
try.
my best.
this.
Well, send an email when you do, so everybody's educated.
I think they've been pretty fast, to my knowledge, they've been pretty fast to respond.
Has there been, can I ask, has there been, from the information you've gotten from your wife, projects this size before?
See, that's what
Not the
bothers me,
size,
is
no.
the size of the project, not the project itself.
Not this size, I've not.
Okay,
I've been-
that kind of worries me.
Well, part of my question might be, too, Vicki, is the amount that was available to Porter County was $5 million, something or other.
5.2.
Where are we at in terms of that figure?
Yes, I will have an update, but there's a lot that's pending right now. So far, we've only received, actually cash received, let me just round it up, about $125,000.
Yeah, which is a spit in the eye.
So we got $5 million to go.
What's pending? Yeah, I mean, we're not utilizing this. It's here, we're not utilizing it.
Well, there's a fair amount pending. There's a variety of pieces of equipment from the sheriff's department and other county buildings. I just wrote the committee today with the rundown.
Is it $3 million, $4 million that we're up to based on pending stuff, or?
Based on pending and this request, we're getting up there.
Up where?
We're not up to 5.5.
Up where, Vicki?
Pardon me?
Up where?
You know, I need to look at.
2 million, 1 million, 3 million?
I don't know.
Send us an email, please.
1.5.
Perfect.
Oh,
So there's plenty
There's
of
plenty of room in there, is what my point is, there's room in there to add
To do
this.
this.
That wouldn't be something that would prohibit it
There's
from happening.
$160,000 pending that maybe is not going to happen from the health department. There's $250 from the sheriff's department. There's another $22,500 from the sheriff's department. There's about 14,000 from IT, about 50,000 from tourism,
Right.
about, 10,000 that are other claims that are.
We're not even close to the maximum, so that will not hinder us from potentially, if they allow it, which would be
I
wonderful.
think the size of the request is gonna get somebody's attention.
Yeah, and maybe they will do a portion, but we won't know any of it until
Right.
we get
We have
some
to
sort
ask.
of...
We can half.
And they should know the amount, too, when you're asking.
Yes.
They should know the amount. So, and I did talk to Scott, briefly today about this, and there are other things out there that will be coming forward, facilities and stuff that I think are going to be requested through this. So, but I think they're just kind of filtering through this right now. So, is there any further discussion on tabling this until when?
A week, I think a
Next
week should be
Thursday?
enough time for Vicki.
So,
Does that work for you guys?
available next Thursday? What is that, the first?
First, I think.
Are we gonna be here?
Yeah, the first.
That's the
It
last,
is.
that's the last second
Mhm.
reading date, I believe. Yes, I'm looking at it now, we're kind of bunching that day up, but it is what it is.
Okay, so
We
budget,
only-
It's a job to be here.
We only-
Well, we also have the 29th,
5:30?
if we could have the answer by next Tuesday.
That might be pushing.
Let's go a week, 5:30. Let's go Thursday, is that okay with
5:30?
you guys? Joey, can you read?
Yeah, that is
put that on
fine.
it? Becky, are you okay? You're looking over here like you want to fight Mike.
I want to watch that.
I didn't want it to be me. What's next Thursday you want to watch?
Nothing.
Cubs and the Sox?
Yes, Cubs and Sox.
Is it?
Did they lose today? They were getting their butts kicked.
Who?
The Cubs.
Stay focused, everyone.
All right, I got it.
What time they play?
They played
I don't
Tampa
follow
Bay.
baseball.
They were losing in the 7th, I don't know, doesn't matter.
All right. Did you guys vote already?
No, we're gonna vote right now.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
What, we table
We're
it?
voting to table.
Voting to table. the budget.
Aye.
Motion in favor of tabling the budget, no, there's motion on the floor in favor of tabling the budget.
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. So, we like you guys so much, we want you to come back twice on second reading.
That's awesome.
And I would definitely ask Vicki and As soon as she gets that answer back, then at that point in time, I would come screaming down to the commissioner's office and say, it's paid for, it's paid for. So, and then we'll see how they react.
I would absolutely love that.
So,
All right, guys, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Matt.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you, Joe.
Well, they lost to the Pirates.
Darn.
good. All right, recorder.
19-1 in Vegas, they're gonna win the World Series.
Auditor, general fund. Would you guys like to address this tonight or table this also?
You can't table it, it's Vicky's.
No,
All right. Come on down, Vicki.
well, the first, second.
Her number is the same in the general
First
fund,
and second.
$889,900.
She has $5,000 in training and ed.
Yes.
What do you
She
think?
has a number of training and ed line items. I think, and Bob, that's why I voted no to the last one, I vote no against this one. I want clarification first, because we didn't start taking it out of everybody's.
Well, we can go back and do that.
My opinion, I'd rather uniformly do it when we get the right opinion, and then go back, maybe in third reading and pull it out, the right
Okay.
amount, but it's up to
I just
you.
don't wanna make it, it's gonna make it hard on her at third reading if she has to go backwards all the budgets and pull out training and ed.
That is true.
If we take it out now, we can always add it.
Would you rather have it taken out now or later on your budget?
Definitely later, because we do need to get this clarified, because let's say that you decide that all elected officials get a share of it, but you're only limiting to 2,000, I will need more than 2,000 for training and ed. And so I would like to keep training and ed in one or two of the budgets. So,
Your preference is to keep it in.
keep it in, yes, until we get this training and ed more figured out.
Okay,
I'll make the motion on the general fund.
second.
It's a motion and a second on the general fund. So your maintenance agreements went down a little bit, but your contractual services went back up.
I'm just switching things around.
Perfect. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Pose same sign. Auditor plat map, $32,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second, numbers the same. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Auditor non-reverting fund. Looks like there's a
Motion.
decrease of $16,920. Motion is second on the floor for $268,518.
Get the discussion?
Discussion.
What feeds that one?
Okay, this is the homestead, the ineligible homestead fund.
Violators.
And the state allows auditors to collect up to 3 years of back taxes when we discover an ineligible homestead. Now, the fund is not bringing in as much revenue as it used to, and the reason is because we have largely caught up with the backlog of cases. And we try to do our best at making sure that before we put the homestead deduction on, that it's proper, and that's only a benefit to all other taxing units, rather than put a faulty one on just so that we can go back and collect the revenues.
Because you got $430,000.
And we need to be very protective of that amount because...
We?
Yes, we do. Because this has supplemented the general fund. In the first 3 years that I was in office, it turned back nearly $500,000 to the general fund, and because of the declining revenues, we haven't been able to return any more to the general fund because we don't meet the criteria that's established by state statute. But it is supplementing the general fund. As you may or may not know, in the past few budget sessions, you've not allowed certain increases, so I have been taking increases out of this homestead fund. For example, this year, we paid for our cost allocation plan, which benefits the general fund. We paid the $11,000 out of this fund in order to bring back $200,000 to the general fund. So we're using this fund to help alleviate the general fund, but there is another reason why we need to protect it. This year, we began the most significant project that the auditor's office has undertaken, and it's the GASB financial report. I've talked about it before. Every other new county that has to come under these rules has contracted out for this project. And I cannot sit here in good conscience and tell you today that this county will continue to do this project in-house. It is an enormous project. And if I refuse to do it in-house, you will have no choice but to contract out, or else you do not get to bond for new roads or new bridges or new buildings, and that's state law. Or you can try to change state law. So we need to protect this fund in the event that we need to contract out for the GASB report.
She's up here bullying us.
And literally,
No, she
this
isn't.
fund will dry up in 2-3 years.
Let me ask you,
if we don't
how
protect
much
it.
you have saved the county by not contracting it out?
Well, we don't have a hard and firm estimate, but
Well,
some of the estimates that we got was anywhere from 80,000 to upwards of 120,000, and that's per year. That's per year. It's an ongoing thing. We're not going to, it's not a one-time thing. We've also, the financial reporter is currently undergoing audit, and that in and of itself has been an interesting process. And we have already been informed that next year's GASB report will become even more complicated because we must bring in the county library for the first time. We have to bring their financials, we have to convert them to the GASB standards and include that in our financial reports. So it's going to be an even bigger project. So that's why I'm saying I want to defend this fund, because at this time next year, we may be relying on it really, really heavily.
Your defense is duly noted,
Definitely.
Vicki. A more specific question that hasn't already been answered, the medical life insurance that you're taking is zero?
Yes.
Is
That's because last year when I asked for a position, the council granted me the position but put it in this budget, and I'm not going to fill it in this budget
So that-
because that will do what all these other funds that you have to deal with. You put people in these other funds, and it's going to erode, and then you will be asked to put it back in the general fund, and I
Well,
do
so that
not
one
want to do
position
that.
doesn't-
So you can even
doesn't-
take out that whole position if you want, but I wouldn't mind keeping it just in case. Later on, I'd like to transfer it into hourly or whatever, but I'm taking out.
What position is that?
The salary?
It was called a financial analyst position to help us with our GAP project.
Being paid out of the homestead credit non-reverting fund.
Right.
Correct.
But I did not fill that.
What other salary is coming out of that fund then?
It's in.
Only supplemental,
$80,000 roughly.
yes. You may recall that a couple years ago when you granted, was it last year? Last year? Or perhaps the year before, special raises that I requested,
Yes.
you directed that it come out of this budget, not the general fund.
And that's in salaries?
Yes. So it's supplementing the main, the base salary.
What is
We got a motion.
what is the professional certification supplement?
Okay, that's the program that I got approval for, I believe it was in the 2016 budget year, maybe 17, but it really didn't get underway until 2019. And what this is to, it's kind of modeled after the prosecutor program that he has, where he, well, let me just talk about me, my office. If you get a professional certification, you get a bonus. It follows the person, not the position. So if the person leaves, that position will not get this added amount. And the amount,
Are you using it?
yes, there are 3 people in the office, 3 people who currently get a supplemental.
Based on their certification?
Based on their certification. One achieved an HR certification, one achieved some small designation called a CPA.
I've heard of that one.
Uh-huh. And, I'm drawing a blank. There's another certification. I could
All
get
good
that
stuff.
for you, though.
It is.
And it's at different levels. And believe me,
You need a motion on
It
these, Mr.
doesn't.
Rivas?
I believe there's a motion
It
and a second
doesn't.
already,
Yeah.
right?
Fully
Discussion.
We're in
Sorry.
discussion.
Sorry.
Is there any further discussion on the auditor non-reverting? I believe that's where we're at.
Yep.
Yep.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I believe that was at the 268-518 number. All right, debt funds. This is the jail bond. Is that what this is?
I don't have that. Am I missing
Right
it?
at the bottom.
$2,957,000.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why'd it go down? How come the payment went down?
Yes.
Just
Approved.
through the,
Yeah, I'll second the motion, yeah.
Second.
through the amortization
And
schedule.
is this the last year, is this the jail?
No, yes, it is the jail.
Is this the last year? I think
No, the last
2024.
payment is going to be, yes, it's due in 2024, but we'll pay it in 2023.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor of the
Do we have a choice?
No, you don't.
$2,957,000 bond payment? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Try it, Bob. Shoot it down.
I don't think we can.
No, I
Oh, you
It's
can't.
backed by the full faith of the state of Indiana.
And not only that, even though this is a property tax supported fund, it is not part of the frozen levy because it's a debt fund.
Vicki,
Done good, thank you,
we
Vicki.
know what you do, and we know what
Thank
your
you.
staff does in the office. You don't-
Oh, good.
Thank you,
I
very
understand
good.
you're passionate, and we know that.
How old are your books?
Oh, my, we have some, well, since the beginning of our county,
1836.
1836.
So you guys have a scanning project? that you
Oh,
want
We
done?
have a,
Yeah, well,
what?
It's yes or
I
no,
would
Vicki, do you have a
love-
scanning
yes,
project that
yes, I
possibly
think I
could be
mentioned
paid
that.
for by the CARES
yes,
Act?
yes,
Are you asking then, or looking into that?
yes.
And would it be the same situation where, I mean, it's gonna be impossible to get done, but do we need it to be significantly done before the end of the year? We
Need to
find
start
that out.
asking for it.
Yes.
You know what price? Have you got numbers
No.
on yours at all?
No, we haven't.
Oh,
Well, I'm sure Recorder Harris has numbers. It's a book's a book.
He has different volumes than
Yeah.
we
What?
do. Different
Aren't they a lot
quantities.
bigger?
Well, no, but a book's a book.
Right.
I mean, I assume it's X per book, not based on the number of books.
Danny boy, tell him thanks a lot for nothing. So,
We are pursuing that,
well, I would
and,
pursue it fast and,
yes, we are trying. We talked about it at our staff meeting.
Could the
and
Recorder's
we're talking about-
Perpetuation Fund perpetuate her records?
No.
But you don't get anything.
So you guys-
It doesn't grow like others' perpetuation. Your perpetuation fund is growing.
You have one?
No,
No.
I don't have a perpetuation.
Oh, you're saying the recorder.
Could the Recorder?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
we're talking about pay for her scanning. So, you all received some information from, the auditor's office regarding, number of employees and ranges and longevity numbers in there. That's one sheet. You also got another raise scenario. There's like 14 different raise scenarios they put together for us. And this has to do with Bob's thought process of, percentages based upon salary ranges. So if you guys want to spend your weekend looking that over, we've got to get into, we've got, 2 more meetings on second reading, and
How much have we, spent?
Vicki, how much has the general fund been hit so far? Negative what? So,
How much we got to spend?
negative or positive?
Negative.
So we saved the county $156,000 so far?
Election is really tough.
Oh, come on. Oh.
How much?
Let's take our glory away.
What is it?
$157,000, but yeah, you have to remember that's, we've
Up or down?
taken down because of the off election year, so we've pulled her budget down.
I think we need to revisit the election budget.
Well, I think she's got to come in front of us anyways, right?
Yeah.
To put that, so we need to make certain that, on Thursday, make certain that the clerk comes to next Thursday.
We're
Yeah.
spending too much for off the election.
So Tuesday and Thursday night, I would suggest you guys, we added the 12th in there for raises and wages, a whole meeting. I mean, we've been trying to talk about that a little bit every every meeting, you've got information. I mean, if we can continue to talk about it, I mean, we may not need the 12th, but if we do, we do. But, I mean, maybe we can tentatively prepare it maybe on Thursday, October 1st, if we can get through that relatively quick, to dive right into raises and wages on October 1st. Maybe begin discussion at that meeting on a direction and see where it lands.
How fast we go is going to depend on how quickly the auditor can get a return to us.
Well, that's why we're trying to give her as much time as we discuss this,
Right.
you know, and we're getting scenarios. I mean, the more time she has, I know she's still going through an audit right now. She's going through a lot right now, so any
I
time
know it.
that we can give her. So we've got some scenarios.
Yeah, I would suggest that we could put those, the raised wage discussion scheduled for the 12th, put it on the 1st,
Mm-hmm.
and that shouldn't be any difficulty at all, I wouldn't suggest.
I mean, we've got information in front of us. We know where we're
We're
at.
talking about it incessantly.
Yes. So I would say let's prepare. If the first goes good, let's prepare to roll right into discussing it. If, you know, there's no crazy questions out there looming, and you've got information, and you've got a week if you need something else from Vicki that, you know, you might want to look at regarding raises, give her ample time, and she'll get you some information. Vicki, is there anything that you want to share with us? Let us know. No, we're good?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So there's a motion and a second to adjourn. I will just say, Mike, the gavel will most likely be yours on Tuesday. I am out of town. I don't think I can make it back. I will do my best.
Unacceptable.
I apologize, but Tuesday is not looking good for me. I don't think I can get back in time. I'll try, but I don't think I can.
Be careful. We need you.
Oh, thank you. You know what? You're the first woman that's ever said that to me.
I said that plural.
Dang it. Good?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Same sign.